Hi everyone, it's Gwen from Hummingbird Tarot. Today I'm doing a video response to Simon of the Hermit's Cave, and this is a video response to his live chat where he talked about some of his favorite things. So today I'm going to share some of my favorite things. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell so you're notified every week when I upload a new video. I really enjoyed his video, and so I thought it'd be fun to share. So the first thing I'll do is I'll go through some of the things I'm wearing. So one of my favorite things is that I'm wearing a pair of earrings that has a Celtic knot on them. I'll bring these a little closer. And I got these at one of the first Highland games that I went to with a bunch of girlfriends. And I had such a good time, and these earrings really connect me to some great memories that I had of that Highland Games and going and having a great day with them. So I love these. I also have Irish and Scottish in my heritage, so it's fun to, that was when I really started to connect with my roots. My family came over from two different branches of the family, from Ireland and Scotland, during the potato famine, so back in the mid 1800s, and there have been many generations since then, so I felt really disconnected from my roots, and just recently I have been reconnecting through another one of my favorite things that I'll share with you. So you can also see I'm wearing a clan shirt from the MacDonalds of Clan Ranald, which is my family clan from Scotland. And I do have some connection to my roots on that side of the family because my grandmother, who was a MacDonald, this is a picture of her with her, there were 6 girls in the family and 2 boys. They were all teachers, and they grew up on a farm, and they all put themselves through college. And this is my grandmother right here. And I love this picture. This is one of my favorite things too, but she was the MacDonald, and that side of the family did a really great job of taking photographs. Photographs are really important to them. And I actually have photographs going back 7 generations on that side of the family. And the oldest photograph that we have is from a woman who was born in 1790. And she was about 70 years old when the picture was taken. We have that photograph, and then I have photographs of everyone in the family since then. Not a lot of them, but some of them. And I love that. And I do feel connected from that side of the family. And that side of the family, I have a book too that was published from that side of the family, and they collected a lot of old family stories and they put them down, and there's the family tree, and there's a lot of stories in that book about that side of the family. So I bought this t-shirt at one of the Highland Games that I went to also. The other thing that kind of reconnected me to my roots is that I'm a huge fan of Outlander and the whole series of books. I actually prefer the books over the series, but I do enjoy the series as well. And this is by Diana Gabaldon. And there's a whole bunch of books that she's written. I believe she's releasing the 9th book in this series. And then there are a bunch of side stories that they call novellas that are a part of that. So there's a whole bunch of books in that universe that I love. And it's all about Scotland in the 1700s. The cool thing that I really appreciate about the story is that I've been able to learn that the dialect of Gaelic, which is actually called Gaelic in Scotland, is the same dialect that my family would have spoken. My family was from the Highlands in Scotland, and they're speaking the Gaelic that my family, or the Gaelic that my family would have been speaking. I was able to find on the census records that my great-grandfather spoke, actually the woman that I showed you a picture of, my grandmother, her dad spoke Scots, is what it said on there. And we don't know if that's the Scots, the language that they call Scots, or if it was Gaelic, because they called a lot of times they called them the same thing, and they weren't necessarily the same thing. But it's neat to have that connection there. And I've really, since the books, I've been reading the books since 2012 is when I discovered those. I really feel a keen sense of connection to everything Celtic because of that show. And I have really reconnected with my roots. And I love that. I love that. Those are some of my favorite things related to that. I also, Amber plays a pretty prevalent role in one of the books. And actually one of the books is called Dragonfly in Amber. And that's what got me first interested in amber, and then all the healing properties associated with it as well. Since then, I do have a lot of jewelry now that I've made. I made this that is amber, and I really like that too. And so that's kind of, that connection started because of the books. What else am I wearing? Oh, I have a bracelet, a silver bracelet that was my mother's. And then I have this ring here. I don't know if you can focus on it or not. I'll try to see. There we go. And this was my grandfather's, my mom's dad's. And it's it's from like the 1920s. And it's pictures of, they look like knights. And it's the profile of two knights. And it's carved out of bloodstone. And then it's gold and silver in the ring itself. It feels very Art Deco. And I love this ring, and you'll see it in some of my videos too. So those are some of the things that I'm wearing. And then I have a bunch of things in front of me here that just have interesting stories. So I also, because of Outlander, went to some whiskey tastings and have really started to enjoy whiskey. And I wanted to find a really nice glass to drink it out of. And I was digging around in my mom's cabinet one day. I just felt like there's something here that I have to find. And I found this cup that I loved, and I'll show it to you here. It's beautiful. It's a crystal glass here. And yes, it has some whiskey in it. And I pulled it out and I told my mom, I said, I want to use this for whiskey. Can I have this cup? Because I knew it had been in the cabinet for a really long time. And then she told me, oh, that was my mom's glass. And I asked her, well, what did she use it for? And she said, whiskey. So I just think it was funny. I feel like my grandmother was there guiding me to that glass to enjoy my whiskey and have kind of a connection with her. Some of the other things I have here in front of me that are very special to me. I have this little dragon. And I picked that up. I'm not sure what it's made out of, some kind of stone. I picked that up in Chinatown in San Francisco on a trip that we went to San Francisco. And the connection for me to this is that I keep this up. I have a little mini altar here at my desk where I work, and I see it every day. And that reminds me that I am strong and I have that fire of a dragon inside me. And anytime I'm starting to feel weak or shy, I just take a look at that and it reminds me of how strong I am. And it brings a lot of energy to me. I also have this little jade. It's an Inuit or an Eskimo. And my grandmother brought this, the one that I showed you a picture of, brought this to me from Alaska when I was a kid. She brought it home as a souvenir for me. So that's really special to me. I also, on a trip that I went to Vegas with some friends, and I found this bracelet that is gold and turquoise. I found it laying in the street and I just picked it up. It was such a fun trip and it was very memorable. And every time I see this bracelet or I wear this bracelet, I'm reminded of how much fun I had on that trip and what a great time it was. And it's a gorgeous bracelet. It's a really pretty gold and I love the stones on it. So I felt like that was a gift from Vegas for me. I have a friend who went on a trip recently and brought me back this little, you can see, I'm not sure what you would call it. It's porcelain. It's fired pottery, and it's a little hummingbird that she brought back to me because she knows my connection to hummingbirds and my dad. And then the message on the back of it says, I am present. So I also have that sitting up here on my desk that I can see all the time. Just a reminder to me that my dad is still with me. And then I also have, this is a little salamander that is made out of copper. So it's tarnished a little bit here. And I usually keep this next to my potted plants. And I also bought this on a trip when I was in San Diego's Old Town there. And I bought in one of the souvenir shops there. So I really have some good memories associated with this too. And I have this just sitting up on my shelf next to my tarot cards now because I like the energy that it brings to the room. Well, another thing that I have that I really love is this mortar and pestle. And this was my dad's. My dad was a pharmacist first, and he had to have this when he went to pharmacy school. So he bought it there. And then he ended up being a doctor. And he passed away about 10 years ago. So this is something that I use sometimes for my herbs. And I just keep this on my shelf. And I really feel a keen connection to my father when I have this here. And I do have some other gifts that have been brought back to me by him. My mom and dad went on a trip when I was a kid, and they brought back this beautiful jewelry box for me. And it's musical, it plays music, and I have this sitting out. I actually keep my business cards from my business in it right now because I love, again, the energy and the love that I feel when I see this box. So I keep something important, and that's for my tarot business. I keep my business cards in there. And then I also have this egg that's hand painted that my mom bought for me in Italy. She was there a couple years ago, and this is really special to me. And I keep this actually in a teacup sitting on my tarot shelf. A couple more things I have here related to the Highlands, the Scottish Highlands. And I have a flask that I got. It says Outlander on it, and I got this at a fan event that I was able to go to in Los Angeles and for the Outlander TV show, and I got to see the stars of the show there. And so this flask has really good memories for me. And then I've been to a lot of Highland games since my first one that I went to here, and I actually found this flask. This is for Clan Ranald, which is the sect of the MacDonald clan, or Clan Donald, that I am a part of, that my family's from. And it says, "My hope is constant in thee." And that's the family motto for that. So I have this whiskey flask there too. I have another photograph that I love. And this is a different side of the family, a different branch of the family. This family comes from Germany. And this here is my great-grandfather, and these are his two brothers. And this photograph was taken in the 1920s. And well, the thing that I love about it that calls to me the most is you can just see how much they love each other. But this really sets it apart from other photographs of the time. But I have this photograph up on my wall, along with that picture of my grandmother with her sisters, because I love the way that those photographs make me feel. I have a couple bags, silk bags, that my dad brought back. When I was a child, he brought these back from Asia, and I'm not sure exactly where he got them, but they're silk bags, and they have a long strap on them, and I usually keep the strap tucked away in there, but I keep tarot cards in each of these. And then I have another bag that means a lot to me as well, and my mom brought this one back to me from Venice. And this is just a gorgeous bag here. The two decks that I keep in those other bags are Rider-Waite-Smith. And then the one that I keep in this here is the Golden Tarot. This is the deck that has the Renaissance paintings in it. And that lives in this tarot bag, and I have it sitting out in a place of honor because I think the bag is beautiful, and this is one of my favorite decks. So I have that sitting out on my tarot shelf. And these are all, I don't know if you can see up close, it's all hand sewn and ribbon. It's made, the design is made from silk ribbon on there too. So I also have this little dish, and I keep matches in it now. It's actually a part of where I keep my incense and everything. It's a little dish there, but I made this when I was 11, and I found it at my parents' house recently, and I stole it back. So this is kind of special to me because I made it for my parents when I was little, and they kept it and they enjoyed it, and now I have it back, and it's just a fond memory that I had because I remember making it. It was the first time I'd ever worked with pottery, and we fired it, and I got to paint it and all of that. So this is a really fun memory for me too. I actually have a bunch of crystals in here. I'm going to take this one out. The crystals mean a lot to me, but what actually means more to me is this bowl here. I don't know if you can see how pretty it is. It's striped. I don't want to dump everything in it, but it holds all my crystals in here. And this was bought by my mom on a trip that she went with my dad to New Zealand and brought these back for us. My family sounds like world travelers, but they're really not. They just went on a couple really good trips recently. Although my dad was in the military, so he traveled all over the world. So the last thing that I have here that I wanted to share with you is an American flag that I have. And my dad was actually, he was a flight surgeon in the Navy, which means that he was a doctor that went through flight school and learned how to fly and got his pilot's license so that he could be a doctor for pilots in the Navy. A part of what he did was he was also in charge of the medical corps that was in Antarctica with the National Science Foundation. And he was in Antarctica for 6 months, and he brought this flag back for me, and this flag was flown at the South Pole, and he gave this to me as a gift. So this is very special to me as well because it came from him and also because it was flown at the South Pole in Antarctica. So I hope you enjoyed going through memory lane with me. I really enjoyed myself, and I hope that many more of you share some of your favorite things as well because I'm looking forward to those videos. Thanks for stopping by.